Hello, and thanks for joining me for a Wednesday edition of the Crowdfunding Roundup. This is the edition in which I look at all of the games that launched on Tuesday, which is generally the biggest launch day for board games. And it's actually a bit of a lighter week this week, so I only have 7 campaigns to look at, and I think 2 of those campaigns will be of particular interest to most people. As always, my videos are bookmarked, so you can scroll over the play bar, see exactly the content you're looking for, and jump right to that if you don't want to sit and watch the entire video. Links to all of the campaigns are included in the description section, so if you see something of particular interest to you, you can go down into the description, click on the link, and it will take you right over to the campaign. I believe all of the campaigns but one today are on Kickstarter. There's one on Gamefound, but that is a campaign that I almost didn't cover. The information on it is very minimal, so I'm going to gloss over that one pretty quickly, but I do have that one campaign today on Gamefound. Without any further ado, let's get started taking a look at these 7 campaigns. Okay, the first of them is for this game called Mindbug, which has existed before. It's a game that has 4 designers. One of them is Richard Garfield, who's best known for Magic: The Gathering. We're just going to look at the original game here on Board Game Geek because there are no listings yet for the 2 new expansions. But Richard Garfield, for those who are curious, in addition to designing Magic: The Gathering, he did Android Netrunner, Bunny Kingdom, King of Tokyo, Robo Rally, Keyforge most recently. So he's done a very diverse group of games, but he does seem to concentrate mostly on card games and fighting games. I mean, we've got Android Netrunner, Magic: The Gathering, Keyforge, of course, and even Bunny Kingdom uses a lot of cards, even though it is an area control game with a lot of bunnies. But this latest game, or this latest 2 expansions, is more content in another one of these card games, and this one is a dueling fighter. So I'm not going to play the video for this one. I am going to play some videos today, but I'm not going to play this one just because I don't think the video really adds too much. But if we go down here and look at the 2 standalone expansions, we can see that they're going to add in some new mechanics. So some of the cards are going to have actions on them that you can use. Some of the cards are going to have this new mechanic called Evolve, where the cards will actually evolve through 3 different iterations. So your cards can kind of level up and get more powerful, and you'll be left with a more powerful version of the thing that you started with. They've also got this new mechanic Boost that allows you to give some of your cards boosted abilities with cards that are in your discard pile. And then similarly, there are cards that play off of cards that are in your discard pile. So those are the sort of 4 new mechanics that are introduced in these 2 new expansions. One is called Beyond Eternity, one is called Beyond Evolution, and just kind of walking you through the content here. You can take a look at it. So let's just start from the beginning. Actually, you know what? Before we do this, let's go back up to the top. We see that this project has a $22,000 funding goal. They're at $178,000, so they are well funded. The campaign will end on April the 22nd. And if we go down here into the pledges, we can see that this will deliver in December of 2023. Now, if I scroll down here to where it actually shows the content. So this is the Explorer pledge level here. It's going to include both of the new expansions, but the standard version of that. And that's $39. And then let's just go down and do the shipping while we do this. So shipping is either going to be $11 or $14. That means this most standard pledge here is going to be a $50 pledge once you include shipping in the continental US. If we kind of go and look at the next thing, that is this Discoverer pledge right here. That also is, I believe, $11 shipping, so that will bring this pledge up to $72, and that is deluxe versions of these 2 new expansions. So you've got some kind of more premium life point tokens, some foil cards, Kickstarter promo pack. Then if we go to this version, the Beyonder pledge. This is going to add in a case to store everything, including these 2 neoprene playmats. And this is the all-in pledge, the most expensive pledge, if you're not counting the sort of retailer pledge or the pledge for multiple copies. So this one is $99. With shipping, it's going to be $113. And that is Mindbug. Sort of a simple dueling card game that is having more mechanics added to it through these 2 new expansions. And it's coming from Richard Garfield, one of the 4 designers here. Nerd Lab Games, and Mindbug was their first published game, so this expansion is their second project. And the artist is either Dennis Martinez or maybe Dennis Martinez. And if we just want to see what else he's worked on, because he's fairly prolific, if memory serves. He's worked on Chocolate Factory, Imperial Settlers, Roll and Write, Sailing Toward Osiris, Dragon Farkle. So perhaps not quite as prolific as I was thinking, but he has done some things in the past. Okay, the second game on our list for today is called, let's pop back up to the top here, Mycology. You can see it's in motion, even as I'm recording. But they have a funding goal of almost $15,000, and they're just about to hit it. So this definitely will fund. The campaign will end on April the 20th. And this is a first-time publisher. And this is going to deliver in January 2024. As we can see, there's only one pledge here. It's $38. And the shipping on this, $19. So not insubstantial. That's almost, half of the pledge itself. That'll bring the total cost of the project to $57. And what this game is, again, I'm not going to show the video for this one just because I've watched it already and I don't really think it adds that much. It's just doesn't give you enough of a taste of the gameplay. It's maybe more confusing, if anything. But you can see here, you're going to have this card market in the middle here with these mushrooms. You're going to have this kind of round tracker. And actually, it's not a round tracker, it's a season tracker. And then let me go down to show you kind of this setup further down here. So here's some of the components. There's that season marker. So each player on their turn is going to roll this set of dice. And if they get a 7 in any combination, that is going to forward the season. If they get any other number, then the player will receive some kind of resource here. And then they'll be able to take some actions. And generally what those actions are drafting some mushrooms from that central card market, but you're going to need resources to do that. And the way this works is, this is the different column for each of the 4 seasons. So in this season here, which I'm kind of assuming is spring, no, actually it looks like winter. In winter, you're going to be only able to draft 1 mushroom. So you're going to create a column, but that column will only have 1 mushroom in it. In spring, you're going to create a column of 2 mushrooms. Summer has 3 and autumn has 4. I guess this game was designed by a mycologist, so I'm assuming that's because there are some mushrooms that grow in winter, though not a lot, and autumn must be the most prime season for mushroom growth. So players are going to be building out this tableau of mushrooms, 1 in this column, 2 in the second column, 3 in the third column, and 4 in the fourth column. And then at the end, they'll score points for their mushrooms, also some leftover resources, and then there are also some special mushrooms in the game that include magic mushrooms and poisonous mushrooms, and that can affect your score as well. But in general, it's just a very simple resource management, sort of card drafting game, tableau building as well. And that is Mycology. Third on the list is Project L. And I'm not actually going to not play the video for this one either, because the GIFs here really just set this up so well. But this is a game where you're going to have these little cards, I guess, with these holes in it, and you're going to be filling in the holes with these puzzle pieces. And it does a very good job of explaining this. So when you complete one of these, you're going to get the little piece on it as a reward. And then you're essentially building an engine. And so you can see here in this GIF that he's using all of these pieces to fill in these other cards that he's drafted, and he's getting all of these additional pieces. So you're just creating this sort of growing engine of little puzzle pieces that you'll be slotting into different puzzles that you'll be drafting throughout the game. And that is Project L. And there's been a whole bunch of expansions for it that do different kinds of things. And right now, they're launching a new expansion, but it's a small expansion. It's only $8. However, shipping on this is $9. So you're paying more in shipping than you are for the expansion. So if you're only interested in this, I suppose either you love the game, you love the publisher, you want to support them, and you're willing to, kind of pay double for your shipping. You could hopefully wait for it to hit retail. I'm not sure if Project L is in retail. I do know that the game is very, very, very popular, though, across, kind of a wide swath of gamer. So perhaps you are interested in getting more, though. You can get the Phoenix expansion along with Project L. That's the base game here. That is $50. And the, the shipping on this one's going to be 15 euros for this and the all-in. So 15 euros is $16, which means that this pledge would then be, $66 with shipping. However, if you really like Project L and you haven't, gotten your feet wet, you could pledge this, which is going to be $121. And it includes everything ever made. You've got the base game. You've got all of these expansions: Phoenix, Finesse Ambassador Pack, the Ghost Piece expansion, the Ambassador Pack, and this master box with storage and some game trays in it. It's just obviously the best package for this, but it's probably going to not make sense unless you don't already have the game. But this is super tempting, and I think I said at the top that there were two of the campaigns that I thought would be of particular interest to people, and this is one of them. I know that this is just such a popular game, with a lot of people, and this is such a good, all-inclusive, tight little package with game trays, and what more could you want from your gaming, really? I love to have, all-ins with good storage solutions where you can just kind of quickly sort through the various expansions and get your game to the table with whatever variability you're looking for at that moment. So the funding goal on this is $109,000. They're at $166,000, so they are funded. The campaign will end on April the 13th, and if we go back down here, we can see that this will deliver at the end of the year in December 2023. Okay, moving forward, we've got this game, Reason for the Season. I am going to show you the video for this one because I think this how to play just explains the game so well. I don't include every kind of card game, and a lot of card games are sort of haphazardly put together. This one's called Reason for the Season, where players are going to be playing various sort of heroes representing the different holidays, and then they're going to fight Santa at the end. And I think what makes this so unique, and what made me want to include it, because it's not just another fighting card game, is that players are going to be fighting the other players for a period of time in this game. And then at a certain point, the Santa card is going to be drawn, and then players have to kill Santa. And the winner of the game is going to be the one who delivers the killing blow on Santa Claus. So what made me like this and think that it really stood out is the fact that you're not just fighting each other. You're not trying to just knock each other out, take each other down. You're whittling each other down in the first part of the game. But then when Santa comes out, you want to kill Santa. And it doesn't really matter what else happens in this game. It's the player who kills Santa who wins. So like a good free-for-all, you're going to be attacking each other still at that point somewhat because you want to make sure the other players don't deliver the killing blow on Santa. That means that you might want to kill them just to get them out of the way. or if they're really, being really annoying and stopping you from killing Santa. But Santa here is the ultimate goal, and I think that is really unique. Now, we can see that it has a funding goal of $9,000. They're currently at $4,500, so it's unclear if this is going to fund or not. It's kind of on a line, but my guess is that it will, just because it is a smaller funding goal. The campaign's going to complete on May the 4th, and the game is going to deliver in September 2023. Now, there is 2 pledge levels here. There's one for the game itself, and then just one that includes a sticker pack. So there's not too much variance there. And you can see down here that the shipping is $12. That means it's $32 for the game, $42 if you want to also get the sticker pack. Before we move on, though, let's take a quick look at this promised video.
Play begins with the player whose birthday is latest in the year. Every player's turn has 3 phases. First is the calendar phase. Draw a calendar card from the calendar deck and follow the instructions on the card. Once completed, you move on to the action phase. In the action phase, you must do one of 4 things. Play an action card, play a defense buff card next to your hero, play a weapon next to your hero, or discard a card. After the action phase is complete, you enter the draw phase. Simply draw back up to 3 cards and end your turn. When using an action card to attack an opponent, your attack strength equals the strength of the card plus the weapon you have in play next to your hero, if any. When defending against an attack, you can sacrifice defense buffs to absorb some or all of the attack. Elemental defense buffs can only be used to block elemental attacks, and physical defense buffs can only be used to block physical attacks. The defense buff type is indicated by an icon on the card. Continue play until the Santa variant card is drawn from the calendar deck. When a player draws Santa, they must immediately flip over the top card on the Santa deck before taking their action phase. From here, play resumes as normal, except players will flip over Santa cards instead of calendar cards during the calendar phase. Players may now continue to attack each other or Santa as they see fit. The player who lands the killing blow on the big red guy is the winner and the new reason for the season.
Okay, so, it's a rather simple little fighting card game, but I just thought that separated it from other card games where there's going to be this other entity that comes into the game partway through the game. You don't know when, could be sooner, could be later, depends where that card is in the deck, and then players need to kill that thing to win the game. Just, simple game, unique take on the genre, and worth mentioning, I think. And, I don't always enjoy later games, but when I do, I like it to be something that differentiates itself from the pack and has something in it that's, fun or intriguing or mixes things up. And this definitely fits that bill as far as I'm concerned. Okay, this is the single campaign that's on Gamefound. It's called A Rocket Race Expansion, Widgets and Gizmos. Now, you're not going to find it in Board Game Geek under this name because it is listed under Leagues of Adventure Rocket Race. That is the original game, and it came out 10 years ago, and now they're doing this expansion for it, Widgets and Gizmos. Now, here's the bummer thing about this. There's no video here, and I even looked on Board Game Geek, and there was only one video, which was done by Jay Howitt. I think Jay Howitt is her name, and she used to do contributing work for the Dice Tower, and her YouTube channel is gone, and all of her videos are gone. So at some point, she stopped doing gaming videos. She still has like an Instagram, but it's more personal stuff, and you can occasionally find some videos in existence if they're still up through the Dice Tower. But she was the only one that had a video on the original base game, and I can't find a video for you now. And the campaign itself is super thin. I wanted to include it just because it is listed on Board Game Geek, the base game anyway. And it's kind of interesting in a way, but there's just not a lot of information on this. I can tell you that you're going to be basically building like a rocket ship with all of these different kinds of gizmos and things. And then at some point, you're going to be rolling dice, and you need to have built enough stuff in your rocket so that it is larger than whatever the dice roll is. So, if you're rolling dice, let's say it's a 12, you need to have built at least 12 points worth of stuff. And I suppose, how far you go under that and try to roll the dice, early when it's not a guaranteed win is a push your luck part of this game. But that is the game in a nutshell. You're just building these rockets, trying to send them to the moon, and getting enough pieces on them so that they have a good, if not assured, chance of landing. And, that's it. I just didn't want to neglect this, but the information is thin, and that's about all that there is. We can see that the campaign's going to end on April 18th, and if we look over here, the goal was only $187, and there's $475, so they are funded. This is just going to be a very small, modest campaign. We can also see that the pledge here, let's see, Master Rocketeer is for people who already have the base game, so that's $14. If you get this pledge level for $24, it's going to also include the core game. And shipping is in pounds, and I believe dollars are $1 or $2 more than that, so it might be like $8 for the expansion, let's say 18 for the bonus, which is not insubstantial considering the price of these pledges. It's not like the Phoenix expansion for Project L, where shipping is going to equal the cost of the expansion or of the bundle, but it's like half to 2/3. Okay, but that is a Rocket Race expansion, Widgets and Gizmos, #1. This is on Gamefound. From here, we're going to go to Terrorscape. This is back on Kickstarter. This is a $20,000 funding goal. They have $220,000 in the pot right now, so they're well funded. The campaign is going to end on May 20th, and it's by this publisher called Ice Makes. Let's just take a quick look at this. They're out of Hong Kong, and the game is going to deliver in November of this year. Now, this is a sort of horror-themed deduction game, and it's got this big kind of constructed standee thing in the middle of this house. And it's a one versus many game. So there are going to be players that are exploring this mansion, and then there's going to be a killer who will be sitting on the other side of this table with another version of the map that they are traversing. Let's see. And there's several different, killers, monsters, bosses, whatever that person who's playing the one could be playing. And there are obviously some expansion ones as well. Just to kind of give you a look at what this looks like, you can see this sort of, I think it's a cardboard thing that you have to kind of put together, and then you've got the two sides of the map. We'll see this in a moment in the video here, because I am going to play the video for this one. And we'll come back to the prices afterwards, but here's just kind of a look at the various components. Here's this collector's big box. So lots of, looks like neoprene mats in this and several expansions. Just a lot of variability if you really want to dive deep into this and get a lot of different maps for it. Okay, so that's just kind of a quick look at what we're seeing here. The publisher has done some other games. Nothing that I'm too familiar with, though. Morpho, Age of Galaxy. Actually, I lie. I have heard of this one. I do remember this one being on Kickstarter. Eela and Something Shiny. They also did Age of Civilization. I do remember this one. It's sort of an interesting assortment of games, kind of different genres, different kinds of themes. But that's what they've done in the past. And now let's take a look at their video for Terrorscape.
roaring thunderstorm called upon a group of innocent travelers to the doorsteps of an empty Victorian mansion. As they pushed open the heavy oak doors to seek refuge, little did they realize they had stepped into the demon's lair. From now on, your life or death decisions will determine their fates in this realm of Terrorscape. Terrorscape is an asymmetric game for 2 to 4 players. You can choose to control the survivors or play.
See, that gives you such a good look at the kind of setup with the boards on both sides.
Your goal is to stay alive and find a way out. There are 2 ways to escape. Gather 5 keys and leave at the main door, or repair the radio to call for rescue. In the survivor's turn, each survivor can perform an action such as move, search for items, and more. But think twice before you act, as your action may make a sound and expose your location to the killer. On the other side, if you play as a killer, your goal is to eliminate those hiding guests. You must search for them by the clue of sound, various abilities, and of course, your wise decisions. Each killer has their own deck of cards, providing different styles of hunt. The Butcher can block doors to trap the survivors. The Spectre can induce great fear and do special damage. And the Murderer is able to hide his movement from the survivors to perform a deadly ambush. Time is running short as the killer grows its power gradually. You can hide, you can fight, but if your opponent knows what you're thinking, you're mostly dead. Survive or hunt in Terrorscape.
It's kind of interesting. I mean, some of it looks a little rough around the edges to me personally, but I do like that element of the one versus many with the hidden board and the fact that you're both in the mansion, but you're going through different floor plans. And there's that, kind of deduction element and that hidden movement element. And that part of it looks pretty intriguing to me and looks like an interesting take on that genre. Okay, the final campaign of the video, and the second game that I think people are going to be most interested in is Terminus. Now, this is being published by Inside Up Games, who most recently did Earth. And Earth, I think, is becoming a pretty big hit. I've played it on Board Game Arena. If you play it on Board Game Arena, you get a lot of information in the UI that you won't get when you play it physically, because there's so much going on in people's tableaus that they're building and their personal goals, which are, open. They're available for everyone to see. But there's just too much to really view, I think, physically. You need to literally get up, walk around the table, look over people's shoulders, maybe take notes because there's so much information, and you need to kind of keep doing that throughout the game. So I think if you play the physical copy, it's more of a head-down experience because there's just not an easy way to track all of that. But if you play it on Board Game Arena, that information is tracked for you by the UI. So you have a much better idea of where everyone is in their various goals. And that lets you know, what you need to do or when you kind of need to cut your losses and just push for the end of the game. But I really do enjoy the game a lot. And I think it's probably equally good in both forms. You just may have to adapt your play style a little bit to both. Anyway, my point is that's becoming a huge hit. Everyone that I know and everyone that I've seen talking about it seems to really like it. And this is Inside Up's next game. And I think, between that one and this one, they've been publishing pretty solid games for a while now. But I think they're taking it to the next level as a publisher now, and things are really starting to take off for them. And this game, we'll watch the video for this one as well. It looks a lot like Ian O'Toole art on a Vital Lacerda game. I don't think it's going to be that heavy. And the one thing I'm a little concerned about is some of the pieces and the fact that they could move around. It doesn't look like there's dual layered boards for a lot of these things, which means all of these cubes and various pieces could shift around. But other than that, I'm really impressed by this game, and it looks like it's a pretty heavy, maybe medium heavy, but on the heavier side engine builder, and just there's a lot, I think, happening here with various mechanisms. So this one had a funding goal of almost $30,000. They're at $101,000, so they're going to fund, and I'm really happy for them. I want Inside Up to continue to do well, because I think I would be surprised if they haven't hit their peak yet. I think they're going to keep growing as a company and keep putting out better and better games for a while. So the campaign is going to end on April the 25th, and it's going to deliver in March of 2024. So there's a ways off on this one for delivery. Now, as you can see, there is, this is the pledge manager, kind of $1, get involved. And then there is this retailer pledge, which means there's only one pledge for this game, and it's just all inclusive. It's going to include, everything that's listed here, everything that you're seeing in the game. And that is $56. If we go down to shipping, here we go. So shipping in the continental US is $15, which means it's $71 for this, all in. And that's the only way to go. And I'm just going to scroll back up quickly a little bit to make sure that there aren't, additional add-ons, but I don't think so. I think that they're doing this just kind of all as one pack, which I like. I like deluxe games, but I also like it when publishers keep it simple and give you a good package, but make it all inclusive. I'm getting a little tired of, so that's cool, 2-player automa included. I'm getting a little tired of pledging something and getting like 6 different boxes and trying to condense down those boxes to fit into 1 or 2 boxes, and having it half work and maybe having like lid lift. It's like, just give us everything in an easy storage solution. God. So anyway, I like that this is all included here. Or let's take a look at the video, because I think it shows off the game and the components really well. But as you can see, as I was scrolling through, there's a lot of board game content creators who are on this page. So if you want to learn more about it, there's plenty of videos to choose from.
The city has grown, and it's time to introduce a new, more accessible mode of transportation. My transit company has been hired to construct subway tunnels and stops, connecting the district to the city. Unfortunately, the city has put the job out for tender, and multiple competitors are vying for the contracts. This is driving up the cost of materials, and everyone's lobbyists are competing for the prestige of public projects. This subway contract could put my company on the map. Over the next 3 years, I will need to develop infrastructure that will make my company more efficient and build stops in districts with the most public demand. Taking advantage of my competitors' stations by connecting my own lines might help me fulfill some private agendas. The city is counting on us to complete the project, and my company's reputation is dependent on it. Next stop, Terminus. Terminus is a resource management and subway development game for 2 to 5 players, featuring a rondelle and variable marketplace. During the game, players will circle the city, taking actions to purchase developments, upgrades, and materials, to lobby projects and agendas, and ultimately to build stops and rails for their subway lines. While the economy shifts and resources become more scarce, players must try to outwit each other and earn prestige by fulfilling public project objectives and their own private agendas. The player who's owned the most prestige wins the game. Terminus is now live on Kickstarter.
Okay, so I really like a lot of what I'm seeing in that. I mean, it starts out looking like a train game, which I like train games just to begin with, like something like Maglev Metro even, which is its own unique take on train games and pick up and deliver and network and route building. I don't think there's pick up and deliver in this, but there is obviously network and route building. But then as the video goes on, you see that there is also a rondelle and a variable market, which makes me perk up. I like both of those things. And the fact that you're going to be building, it looks like buildings kind of in the middle, and they talk about projects. And all of that board art is very reminiscent to me of Tools art on the Vital Lacerda games. I like all of that. I'm a little worried that they're a little bit too close to Tool art. But, but the one thing that does give me a little bit of pause is that there's so many pieces, right? You've got those circular pieces and the rectangular pieces when you're building those subway networks. And then there's even these tiny little cardboard VP tokens and the meeples and all the cubes. And it makes me really wish that everything was like a dual layer player board. But because you're talking about, the big board itself, player boards, and a lot of tiles that resources are going onto and components that are going onto, I imagine if they were to make everything dual layer player board, the cost of this would just double or triple. So I understand that they're trying to keep it, it looks good. I think the components look really good, but they're trying to keep it from just ballooning out of control, which, yeah, because definitely I'm really interested in backing this, but if it was double or triple the price, maybe not. But I am a little worried about all of the components and just slippage on that board. So that's my only real concern, but I think the game itself looks awesome and amazing, and I'm super interested in this. But yeah, so that is Terminus, and that is 7 games. So that means that we've reached the end of this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope something here sparked an interest for you. I'll be back in a couple of days with my Friday edition, although I have a lot happening this weekend, so it's very likely that that will not publish until Sunday. But in that video, I'll be looking at anything that launches Wednesday and Thursday of this week. I know, because it is Wednesday as I'm shooting this, I know that that is going to include the new Zombicide game from Simon. And I need to see what else is going to be included in that. I know there's a game that launched called Vedur, so I need to look at that game and some other games that have launched today, but there'll be things launching tomorrow as well. So the Friday edition will take a look at all of those launches. And then in the back half, I'll be looking forward to campaigns that are funding next week, sort of your last chance to consider those campaigns if you haven't backed them already, or didn't know about them, or forgot to consider them. And that back half of that video is going to include Let's Go to Japan, which is the new Josh Wood game that's being published by AEG. It's going to include The Last Kingdom board game, which is from John D. Clare and Gamelin Games, and that is based on the Netflix IP. Point City and Deep Dive, which are two new games from Flat Out Games. Point City being sort of a spiritual successor to Point Salad. Galactic Renaissance, which is another spiritual successor, this time in a now planned trilogy, the first game of which was Inish, so it's the same designer as Inish. And this one is space themed, and there's a lot going on a lot of different player boards and space boards and things. It doesn't look like it takes up quite the same table space as big dudes on map games like Inish, but it certainly does take up some table space, and it's got a lot of table presence with all of these smaller planet boards and a lot of things happening on all those boards. And then finally, Unmatched Adventures Tales to a Maze, which is the new cooperative mode for Unmatched. And I'm very excited about that one. I think Unmatched is one of the best sort of card fighting games out there. There's so many expansions for it. They're all, or most of them that I've played anyway, they're wonderful, and they do such a good job of creating fighting styles around the characters and their card packs and their tokens, and just everything plays differently and plays very much like you would expect it to play for those characters. The one that I have that's been my favorite is Cobble and Fog, which includes like Jekyll and Hyde and the Invisible Man and Sherlock Holmes, but I have a couple of Marvel sets that I haven't cracked open yet, and I'm really excited to get those played. And a co-op mode, my wife Kristen doesn't really like competitive games, but she loves cooperative games. So I know the two of us are going to get to play a lot with the cooperative mode, and she'll be really excited to play this game. She likes the game anyway, but the fact that she doesn't really like competitive games, games with take that or you're fighting each other, means that we don't get to play Unmatched very often with each other. And, we play a lot of games together because we live with each other. So we're the easiest game partners. But having a cooperative mode that's just going to open that up and let us play together and fight bosses, and hopefully maybe there's a campaign, or down the line there'll be a campaign. But I'm just very excited for a cooperative mode in Unmatched. So I'll be taking a look at those 5 games in the second half of Friday's video, just to kind of make you aware of those campaigns if you haven't already backed them. Until then, take care, play lots of great games, and I'll see you very soon.